So my wife likes to make fun of me a little bit for when I tell her I'm going to work on my YouTube channel. She says that I'm building my community. Obviously, it's good natured fun. A couple weeks ago, I introduced my what I hoped would be my first product that you can see on screen here. Now that community came in pretty clutch because they gave me some phenomenal recommendations on how I could improve that product before I take it onto Etsy and try and get some sales. So let's dive into what those comments were and get to CAD. All right, so we're back in Fusion working on the first product that I had here. One of the great suggestions I'll throw up on screen here is that the actual, sorry, let me take this away here. The actual like opening at the bottom might be just a little bit too big for easy support removal. Not having any issues with kind of the bad like top part that I was looking at. So I think what I'm going to do today is try and cut this into two separate drawers. And there were some great suggestions about the handles themselves that I'll talk about in a little bit as well. But it's always an adventure trying to figure out, which cutout was the one that I'm using here. Whoop. All right, so now that I finally found where that thing's hiding, what I'm going to do is try and find that center point there. And what I'll do is try and find the center point here. Now I'm sure there's an easier way to do this, so if there's anything that you can think of, let me know in the comments below. But what I like to do, that was not the correct thing that I clicked on, is I'm going to do a center rectangle from this center point here, and let's just make it 4mm gap. So I'm going to see exactly how that works out, because I'd like that again to be, oops, that didn't come out quite as I was hoping. Let's try and edit that. Oops. Hit that feature one more time. Alright, so let's try and click both of these. Look at it from the side. Try and drag these back. You have like -65. I'm interested to see what this will do. Okay, not quite what I was after. I may have to, because it's definitely still there. So let's try this. I wonder if I have to delete that extrusion here. Kind of make a whole new, yeah, I think that's the ticket here. My wife is reacting to the Eagles win. I'm a Steelers fan, so it's a contentious topic in the household, but regardless, she's happy. So I guess if I can't necessarily have a Steelers win, then we might as well have one person in the household. There we go. Look at that. Perfect. That's happy with their team. But so that's exactly like kind of the look I'm going for. It's just two separate drawers. One, I mean, they're the exact same size. Still have the same pattern in the front. I'm going to try this. I'm going to get this into Bamboo Studio, and I'll check in with you in just a second when it's on there. So now that we're in Orca Slicer, while I kind of get this project loaded here, is I know there's some, some conflicting reports on the new Bamboo update, so I'm interested to hear your thoughts in the comments if you have any, what you're thinking about kind of that whole situation. I don't know if I have an opinion quite yet. I'm just trying to wait for more information, but maybe that's the incorrect call. But regardless, let me know what you think down below. But I think this looks pretty good here. So there's a couple things. Previous video I mentioned some things that I've been changing to make sure that everything sticks as it should here. Cooling, changing to nothing for the first 4 layers. I'm going to make everything kind of consistent fan speed across. And now let's head back into here. Okay, so my grid pattern, change that to grid. All right, so quality seems good here. I'm happy with that. My layer height, I've been doing it at 0.16, which seems to be nice. A couple other things that I'm doing to try and hide that line is I'm going to do the outer first and then the inner. And now let's get my supports up and running here. Let's go to enable supports. This looks pretty good for me. I'm going to do a 0.20 to make it a little bit easier to move on that top Z distance. And I think I'm pretty happy with that. So let's slice the plate here and see what we are working with. Perfect. That's exactly what I was looking for. I don't think there should need to be any supports up top there. Maybe a little bit, but I'm interested to see kind of how that comes out here. There is going to be a little bit of support underneath of there. Oh, all of that's going to be support. Ooh. I don't like the sound of that at all. Huh. So this here, I'm just really worried about that. I mean, drastically increasing post-production, obviously. I don't want to have to worry about that, but there's got to be a way to get that, you know, out of here. I'm just not super familiar with that. Like an overhang layer area. Let's try increasing that a little bit here. I think it's what I did on Cura, was that like 60%. Certainly wasn't it. Because hexagon shape should not have the need for supports. Why is that? Oh! Whoa, 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 whoa. I'm just going to try some stuff here. See, what's interesting to me is that this bottom one needs it. The top doesn't. I just don't know what the difference between them would be. I guess that'll fix it. All right, so I'm happy with this. So one thing I did forget is the seam. I always forget where my seam stuff is here. Oh, there it is. So I'm going to put seam to back. Do one more slice. Beautiful. I'm very happy with that. Okay. So I'm going to print that plate. And I'm going to check in with you tomorrow because this is going to take about 13 hours to print. So let's check in tomorrow, see how that came out, and we'll go from there. All right, I'm back. It's the next day. Let's see how the print came out. All right, so I'm going to be honest. I'm pretty disappointed in how this came out. So let me get it off the plate quick. So a lot of issues with that there. On the back, this whole like section warped, which, you know, I wasn't expecting for sure, but this part on the back just looks terrible. But, you know, I think it's decent. These are, I think, better than the initial showing. So I still need to critique this, and I just can't for the life of me figure out why. I may need to do wider walls on this, and I think that's what I'm going to do with this, the next test. I think, honestly, I'm going to get this posted on Etsy and just kind of continue to play with it as we go along. Because I do really like the design, but I think again it's good to get something up there and just keep tinkering with that side there. Just kind of start getting my name out there a little bit. So I'm gonna take some supports out, and then I'm gonna start working on the drawer. All right, so it did come out pretty nice. I am happy with that. Again, this piece on the side here, and obviously this would be taken apart here. This part, take it or leave it. This is my big issue. You can see a little rounded over part here, but the bottom is looking much better in my opinion. I am much happier with how that came out. So let's head into Fusion and try and get some work on the drawers. All right, so we're back working on the product here. And so what I'm going to start doing is I think I have, that drawer kind of taken care of, which I am kind of happy about. Now these extrusions here, I'm sure going to be dealing with that. But what I'm going to do is if I take this piece and I kind of want to hide this sketch here, just the way it's a little bit sketch on the front here. There we go. Oh, that's so much nicer. Okay, so now that I'm here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the back part of this, and sometimes you have to change your selection tools, your selection priority, excuse me. So let's do face and see. There we go. So what I can do is I'm going to extrude this piece out until it meets the end here. I'm going to see if that looks good. I think, to me, that looks good in my opinion. Maybe a little bit off. That looks perfect there. Okay, so that's a 60, 65. I'm going to just take 1 millimeter off. Reason being is that way it's not just like fully up against the side. That way if you push back a little bit, you know what? I'm just going to go 65 and just see how it fits. So now that I have this done, what I'm going to do is make this a new component. Click OK, and now I have this drawer as its own individual component. That way it's going to be easier to select a 3D print. Now what I need to do is, if I show the comment on the screen here, they had a great idea about making like kind of a pole in the middle to grab onto. That way you're not trying to use your fingers itself to try and grab. You have something to physically hold on to. So I'm going to take a crack at that. Alright, so now in order to make that happen, what I'm going to do is what I did is I hid my initial component, which is the larger piece itself. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create a sketch on the top of my drawer. Okay, and now what I want to do is find the center point, which is going to be right here, and I don't really need anything that's going to be perfectly, a certain size. I'm going to create an arc, my 3-point arc. I'm going to start at the end, go to one side, and again, I don't necessarily know what size I'm looking for here, so I'm just going to create something that looks like this. Go ahead and delete the line. Okay. So now that I have this done, what I'm going to do is select the actual piece itself. I'm going to hit extrude. And now, instead of the one side direction, what I'm going to do is click here and go symmetric. Oops, sorry, not symmetric. 2 sides. That way I can bring this down to the bottom, and I might bring this, let's go with 3 millimeters up. I'll go 3 millimeters down. Click OK. And that looks really solid. So then what I'm going to do is create a sketch. I don't know why this is being difficult here. So I'm actually going to edit this sketch as just putting opening right in the center here. Let's do maybe a 5 millimeter here, select this, click extrude. I'm going to go through the exact same process. Because now, actually, you know what? I don't know if I can right now. So finish that sketch. Ugh. That's what I was a little bit afraid of. Let me try it anyway. We're going to go 2 sides again, where I'm going to drop it down 2 millimeters, drop it down 2 millimeters. I'm going to go join, click OK, and see if that works. Beautiful. That's exactly what I was looking for. See if we bump over to the side. Yep. So that way I have something to kind of grab onto on the end there. That's exactly what I was hoping for. Okay. So I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to get this on the printer as well. So I'm going to go to File, 3D Print. I'm going to select the actual component that I have visible right now. Save this. Call this, oops, sorry. 3D print, I'll do it one more time. And I'm going to call this, one thing that might be important is making the actual, I don't know, the box on the top of it. So it actually opens up. Here, that could be a relatively important step. So I might just offset. Oh, kind of wish that was a. I wish we could do that. Let's try one more time. Sometimes the offset tool is a little funky. That's okay. All right. So then what I'm just going to do is create box here. Now I'm going to use my dimension tool and just give this about, honestly, I think a 2 millimeter gap might be perfect. And I'm just going to do that the entire way around. If offset's being a little difficult. Again, sometimes it wants to. And then I think what I'm going to try and do is echo this. Why can't I think of the word? This angle here. What was this dimension? 4. That way I can try and get something pretty similar and maximize the amount of space to use. Like that looks pretty good. And now I just T for trim. And I'm going to trim up a bunch of these. Oh, perfect. Now if I finish that sketch, I'm going to look from the side here, extrude that. I'm going to look from the right. That way I know how deep I'm going here. That's 20, so I'm going to make like a 2 millimeter box at the bottom. Hit enter. Perfect. Exactly what I'm after. Now, let's 3D print this. So save that as bin test. And I'll be with you in a little bit. We'll see how it came out. I'm batting 1,000 today. One thing I forgot to mention as well is I'm going to extrude these back in maybe 0.2 millimeters each way to give it just a little bit of clearance around the outsides. And I hate the fact that that's there. Can I just delete this? Apparently not. But I'd like to be able to select that. There we go. Perfect. Exactly how I planned it. And then I'm going to do the same thing, I think, from the top. What are these things? There's a lot of stuff that sometimes I just don't know, which is fine. Huh. Anyway, now that I have that and a little bit of clearance on there, now I'm going to print it. All right, so drawer is done here. cool. I'm happy with that. Support stayed on the plate. Little bit of markings on the top here. Tiny bit of stringing. The inside as well, but overall pretty cool. And this was a great idea to be able to wrap your fingers around. I might make this a little bit smaller. That way it's easier to pull, but moment of truth here. Oops. Sorry to bump you there. Does it fit? Nope. Nice. Oh, it fits a little bit. All right. Regardless, I think I'm pretty happy with the progress. I'm going to reprint the drawer itself, and then hopefully I'll be able to get some pictures up. So this will be the first product that hits the Etsy store. Pretty excited about that. In the meantime, yeah, it's not going to fit. But it took me very little amount of time to print, so I think we should be in pretty good shape regardless. But that'll conclude the video for this week. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any suggestions, as always, please let me know down in the comments below. I'd love to hear about it. If you're interested in following along the 3D print operation as it kind of gets started, I would love to have you along. Love if you like and subscribe. Leave a comment. Let me know if you have any suggestions. Like the video as well. And hopefully we'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much.